Hi, I'm Stacy from Stacy Creates Stuff, and I'm here to give you 7 tips on organizing your quilt fabric. Tip 1. Determine if you are a see it or store it type of person. Now, I am more of a see it rather than stash it away type of organizer. I learned that there were, well, actually 4 types of organizers from Clutterbug. If you're not familiar with Cass and her YouTube channel, be sure to check it out. I'll put the link in the description below. She determined there were 4 types of organizing personalities. 2 of them like to have their things visible, and 2 of them don't. And then there's some finer details between both of those sets of people. But I am definitely a have it on display. Now, I am lucky because I have an entire room that I can dedicate to my crafting. But I realize not everyone has that luxury. So you have to work with what works with you. Now, I can have all my fabrics out on display because this room is off on its own in my house. If you are more of a store away type of person, then something like a dresser for drawers or cabinets that have doors on them, or even a large closet might be a better option. Tip 2, determine how much space you have. Now, while I do have quite a bit of room that I could use to store my fabric, I have decided that this is the amount of space from floor to ceiling, and the width of this, plus a little corner back here for those large rolls of fabric. Now, even though currently I have more fabric than will fit onto this area, that's a good reason to really think about what I'm going to get rid of. But more about that a little later. So now that I've determined that this is the amount of space that I will dedicate to my quilting fabric, now I need to see what I can use to maximize this space. Tip 3, use what you already have for storage. So after looking around my house, I found a couple of storage units. These typically go 90 degrees the other way. They're usually stacked, small shelves, but laying them sideways like this gives me 3 cubbies, and I happen to have 2 of them. There's actually a third, and I may commandeer that one too. Now below, I have a different type of rack, and all of these I have had for years, and many of them I used within my quilt shop, but they're just common household containers and storage unit that you can find at any big box store. Of course, it's perfectly fine to go out and purchase, but you may want to organize what you have first before you purchase units. And that's why it's good to look around and see what you have that might be useful already in your house. Tip 4, sort your fabric and put it into categories. You could sort by style or genre, the size, like fat quarter versus yardage, or color, or even a combination thereof. Now, I have sorted my fabrics in several different ways. I still have some that are on the bolt, and then I have sorted by color, and these are all just general fabrics that have at least a yard or more on them. Same with these, and I've just put them in neutrals and darks. So I have sorted by color, also by genre. So I've put all my Asian inspired fabrics here. And I also have a stack of Christmas fabric. I have further sorted by size. So lots of yardage on a piece, which will be great for backings and things like that. Smaller bits of yardage, but still at least a yard, maybe a couple. And then I am starting on my tubs of pieces. Now, all of these pieces are anywhere from 6-inch wide strip and larger, all the way up to about a fat quarter or maybe a little bit bigger. If I have an actual fat quarter, then I am putting those into a separate container. And these will store nicely on the shelf below. Tip 5, fold your fabrics to fit your space. Now, once you've divided up your space into manageable sections for your fabric, then you're going to want to determine how wide to fold your fabric. This applies also if you're putting it into a drawer. So before you just start folding fabric and then trying to roll it and smush it into the drawer, measure your width of your drawer and determine how many widths of fabric you want to place in there. And then you can fold your fabric accordingly. I have a whole tutorial on how to make a template as a folding board for folding your fabric. Nicely, these were all the same width, and these are folded slightly narrower so that I can fit 4 stacks on top. These are slightly wider because there's a lot of that fabric, and it's easier to fold in a wider width. Likewise, in the small bins, I have made a template so that all of these folds fit nicely. Tip 6, de-stash. Time to get rid of what you won't use. I have to admit my de-stash pile is, well, it probably needs to be bigger. I have several bolts of Minky, and I decided to only keep one, the black, which is already back up on my shelf, and I'm going to be de-stashing all the others. I have a few cuts of Minky that I will probably fold and place in with the non-quilting fabrics, which I have very few of. I'm going to try to de-stash some of my fabrics on Destashify. I've not used them before, but I'm anxious to give them a try and see if I can't get back at least a little bit of my investment from some of these fabrics. There are quite a number, though, that I'm planning to donate to schools and senior centers in my area. And finally, tip number 7, use that fabric. Of course, now that you're all organized, you need to start using your fabric. So, plan your next project and get quilting.